about prioritizing the deployment of resources to be able to achieve a certain objective.
But that was a priority for your party, wasn't it?
No, I'm talking about deploying resources. So if that is the priority...
Did they exist in name then? Because you were inside. For us who stood outside and listened to you before... I want to understand, you said it existed in name. The priority that you championed.
Yes.
Yeah. The belief we had and
That's
what we had...
I championed.
That you championed.
Yes, I championed.
Yes.
So it didn't mean that...
You said you didn't have the resources.
But that's clear. And I'm suggesting to you that if you have a governance structure with different priorities, and because of limited resources, the decision, for example, and arguably that could be one way to proceed. If, for example, we decide to prioritize one sector over the other, well, that's the executive decision.
Was a flagship policy.
But we had many flagship policies.
Yeah, but was one of the flagships? Which means that it's been prioritized, and therefore you expect resources to go there.
But I guess you're still not listening to you. I'm saying that if you have a number of flagship programs and you have limited resources, of course, then you deploy the resources based on the type of priority settings that you may have. And I'm saying that one individual may prioritize education above industrialization. Somebody may prioritize digitization above industrialization. Another may prioritize health over, because you have limited resources. So I'm submitting that in my case, although you have all these as priorities and flagship programs, the allocation of resources, which is the basis for achieving optimum levels of growth in a particular sector, if that is what I believe in, then when I occupy the highest level of executive authority, then I can reorder the priorities and deploy resources in a manner that allows me to be able to realize my vision.
I mean, and my question that I've been asking is, because I'm talking to Alan Kyerematen, who has a history in government, what you're suggesting is, now if you get to stand by yourself, then that becomes a sole priority where you put in the resources.
Not sole priority, but
the most
important
priority, where you put resources. It stands to reason that you're also suggesting that although you were trade minister, you didn't have the required resources.
The required resources
to deliver.
There's no doubt about that, but this is something that you can easily interrogate. I mean, look at the allocation of resources amongst the flagship programs. It's very easy to verify that, and I mean, obviously...
But that wasn't the picture we got when you were in charge. We got a picture that everything was okay.
But don't talk about the picture that I mean, if that's my priority...
And you give us a picture because you were the minister then, that everything was fine. You were executing a project, you had the resources, you were achieving one district, one factory.
But respectfully, I'm not sure that I understand what you are saying. That I gave the impression that I had all the resources.
Yes, you did.
What was the basis of that impression?
Because each time you give us an update on the one district, one factory, never once did you say that, listen, we don't have all the resources to do this in the way that you wanted it to.
When did you engage me in a conversation where this matter came up? How many times have you had an interaction with me? So you cannot make a judgment in a vacuum unless you had specifically had an engagement with me in which, and at any rate, does it require me to make public statements about the decisions that we've taken in budget, in cabinet, about the deployment of resources? Is that appropriate for me to make public pronouncements about the fact that I believe that we should prioritize industrialization in terms of deployment of resources? Is that what you are suggesting? Is that the basis for for sitting as part of cabinet, that you go around making pronouncements? Is that what you're... Because I'm trying to understand why either you find it strange or you are suggesting that you didn't hear me talk about it. And because if you had a personal conversation with me and that issue had come up, then I would say that, yes, Evans.
I have the opportunity now. How hard did you fight for what you believe in when you were in cabinet?
How hard? I don't think that should be the subject matter for this discussion. I've explained to you that the public records are there. If you are an investigative journalist, you do investigation thoroughly, it is very easy for you to check the budget allocation, you know, for various flagship programs, and you get the answer there. The answer will lie in the belly of the statistics. So we don't need to spend executive time belaboring this point. Because you can find that information by yourself. And if, for example, you are coming into an interview, you know, and you wanted to understand why I'm now talking about prioritizing industrialization and being in government, you'll probably have done that research.
But you were the man in charge. I'm just asking the man in charge. Where else would you get primary information than the man who was in charge? And I'm asking you right now that question.
I would suggest to you that that source of information is available publicly.
But you were the ultimate voice on this matter. So it's fair to ask you these questions as well, because you are the ultimate.
Let's move on, because I think
but I ask you these questions.
That that's what you need to do as a media man. You know, go to the public records, because what I tell you may not necessarily be the case. Well, there's certainty, more certainty in public records. So why would you not check the public records and find out?
But I still need to ask you, which is what I was asking you. But the reason why I was asking these questions.